is something I know I gotta definitely transmute. You know what? I keep telling myself. So you just gotta listen to yourself. Listen to your gut. I just need to go be by the water. Be by some water. Be by some water. That's the decision I'm making. Usually I don't get up this early, but I had to for bigger picture purposes, of course. What I want to get into is something very significant. It's wild because I'm pulling up at a place where at a point in time on my journey, this shit is so funny. At a point in time in my journey, I was literally, I should have went straight, but it doesn't matter. I was literally walking, living outside at this hotel that's not too far away. I was just reflecting on this too. Just getting so much clarity of who people were, how it's significant how they just pop up. Doing like certain crises or something. But I start catching on to a pattern. That's what I start catching on. Certain people who were just always, and the reason I'm talking about this is spiritual significance, because it was just something that makes sense to me, may not make sense to others, but it's very significant to a lot of things that I was getting revelations on. How people always came in or chimed in or popped up during a certain moment. It was a lot. It was definitely a lot. To where now I get a lot of self-realizations on why the energy of the individual always popped up. Oh shit. The energy of the person always popped up. It's wild now going down these roads where, I kid you not, like years ago I was walking these roads and didn't even know where the fuck. I had no sense of direction in life. But I'll tell you one thing, I was resilient. I will say I did have direction. I was so focused externally on things I had no control over. I mean, none. And what I mean by that is like the people. I was so unhealthily attached. I can definitely say I'm more centered in my body, my being, my purpose. And what's so funny, I just saw another sign. That's 2 times I saw that sign where it says silence will not keep you safe. That's wild. And I know that's meant for me because of how much it reminds me to share my messages. And then also, what else? It's a house that I used to walk to and sit behind. It's a house I used to walked to. And beautiful home by the river. And I used to tell myself, like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I should get a house by the river. But then again, I think about insurance. I think about a lot of stuff. I think about the river rises. You know, all that stuff. Of course, you gotta take in consideration when you do get something like that. But either way, dang, I remember last time I was down here, none of this was. Oh my gosh, they don't charge a lot. This was like, they was in the process of building this. I'm gonna actually walk across this. So what I was saying is the significance of being in a place, which I realized like a lot of what I'm finna do, it's not so much go back to places, it's more so you return, but you don't return ever in the same energy. Now, some people can be stuck and stagnant in the same energy, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay there. Like I said, and it also shows me how things change a lot. Because this is new. Oh, they did their big one, I guess. But yeah, there was a house I came to, and it had a huge statue of Shiva. If you don't know what that is some call it represents a god or deity that's related to the Indian, not indigenous, Indian, like from India. Ooh, look at that bird. What do you call that? A stork or something? From India, pantheon. And I used to go. No, I was called to the river one day, and someone behind their yard had a huge statue of Shiva. And during my times, I used to go there and meditate. This is the view, by the way. I know I was supposed to come here. Yeah. Oh, that's what they were building. They were putting a bridge there. That's wild. How so much can shift within. And that's the thing about awareness. I mean, how much people don't realize how much has changed or shifted and will continue like to shift whether you're alive or not in the body. This is the reason I'm talking about this now. Is like what I really wanted to talk on is, you know, that saying that goes, don't bite the hand that feeds you. So there's a spiritual significance to that. Whoa, that was a good buzz. And most people just think like it's a physical thing. No, there's a spiritual significance, very much so, to that as well. And because everything is spirit first. So, and this is why some of us who are in tune and, you know, aware of things that other people aren't aware of, that means that what I offer is not something you can truly put a price tag on. It's more so like I'm giving you spiritual food, something you've been searching for clarity, where I'm offering something to where, you know, as a vessel, as a being, spiritual being, whatever you want to call it, human being, whatever, what I'm delivering is for clarity. It may not make sense now. You may feel bothered now, but eventually the clarity comes. And that's through my own lived experiences. Like I said, coming through these places where at a point in time, it's all how you respond to where it's like, dang, man, I used to come through here and oh my God, the energy of this place, nah. It goes back to, again, don't bite the hand that feeds you, because so much is coming full circle where I can see so many people who are looping through so much, even years later, when it has been made to seem as you are the one that is still repeating or, you know, projected on as if you're repeating a pattern. But in reality, you see it very clear. Who's doing what? Even years later, you can still see people who are still doing the same thing. Still doing the same thing. But they would convince you otherwise that they're not this and they're not doing that. But I'm going to tell you one thing that's become very apparent is you can clearly see when someone's not self-aware of their own patterns that they've been looping through for so long and literally convince themselves that they're actually progressing. It's not to say people haven't changed or growth hasn't happened. It's more so of you can see your efforts, you can see your level up. And again, people just assume, and this is why I say don't bite the hand that feeds you. It's because these are same places where I started my, it's full circle. I started my YouTube journey, you know, and this is like 4 or 5 years later. But again, people will just assume from the outside looking in that, well, you don't have this or you don't have that. See, the significance of certain journeys and experiences that you can't rush this shit. You have to pace yourself. But then you start to realize, like, you begin to see the bigger picture, because had I tried to do something faster or like at someone else's pace, then how you doing? Then it would have been something to where I would have self-destruct or been more so disappointed in myself, because I would have placed my internal belief system that I was reconstructing or rebuilding, centered around someone else's and what they feel and so forth. So again, and then it's another thing too, again, don't bite the hand that feeds you, is that if I'm getting my insight and so forth, I'm gonna let y'all get these views. If I'm getting my insight and so forth from the divine, then things where you will one day assume, I got memories coming up as I'm walking through it. Things at a point in time where you would just assume that nothing was gonna turn out right. No, it was all preparation. It was all coming back full circle. How you doing? So that's the beauty of it all, is that no one will truly know the depths. Dang, it made me want to ride my bike. Gosh, I got like, where I was, I got a flat. And I keep thinking to myself, patience, because this is a perfect spot to ride the bike on the trail. But anywho, that just really gives me confirmation on everything that I already have. But that's the thing about operating in spirit. Certain things you get dreams and glimpses of, to where there are times where, when I say don't bite the hand that feeds you, that's things spirit got to give you insight on before you actually think someone is supposed to be a part of something. Because if you're not aware, they will fuck it up completely. There will be a liability. Because sometimes we just assume that we'll know it all just because, and see, this is how much a lot of people have been dissociated from being in tune or actually getting the divine insight or intervention, or that intervention will be to reveal that person's true nature or character, or see them in the shadows or the spiritual aspect of, why did I have that dream? Or 2-3 years ago, why did I have that dream? Because again, spirit is timeless. But then you'll get 2-3 years later, you know, if you want to reference time, and then you come back full circle to a place like this and realize, like, oh, I remember those memories. Oh, I'm reflecting. I remember what was said. But it's not so much being stuck on what was said. It was so much of seeing now where your worth is. Not so much of where your worth is, but also how much you have been building towards creating a different world for yourself and others involved. So think about those of you that may have children. It's the same thing. That inner work, and when I say don't bite the hand that feeds you, your inner work is going to be the very thing that is going to be the bigger and grand reward to all of it, because you're going to be able to see people in their inability to do the inner work literally fall from grace without judgment. And you know you can hold a mirror, you know you can just tell them off, you know you can do whatever it is, but you don't have to, simply because you know almost like their end result. Or they may pretend that you're not significant to their journey, but they know deep down. I'm seeing a lot of stuff play out right now to where it's not a aha, I told you so. It's more so of me realizing, like, this is exactly why I'm glad I stood the fucking course. Because around this time, again, years ago, I was so focused on what someone else was doing. I was so focused on, well, if they're gonna do this, if they're gonna respond, if I was gonna see this person. And the more inner work that you do, or do the shadow work, go within yourself, face your fears around whatever situation, whatever outcome, and so forth, there's a surrenderance that comes with it. Now I realize, like, there's no force in nothing. You're literally being positioned, whether that be through the fact of years ago you had to see how other people handled how other people would handle, I gotta ground my feet, how other people will handle leadership, what they call leadership. You see what I'm saying? So, and then even in that process, notice how people treated you when you didn't have what they felt you had materialistically. See, this is why I say don't bite the hand that feeds you, because people will just assume just because the season you're in, this is like some whimsical shit or some fucking movie shit. But people just assume that they will come to the realization, if they're willing to see how much they misjudge your journey and your experience. I'm seeing it play out right now. Literally right now. And like, again, I don't have to say I told you so. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to tell someone, like, you know, aha, this and that. No, you have to see people's character. At a time, I forgot these bugs out here be different. At a time, you have to just, like I said years ago, I would be more of the absorber. I was absorbing everybody's shit. This had to happen the way I did, this and this and this and this, and so forth. No, this is completely different this time. Now I'm more the observer. Years later, I can still see similar people in the same energy. Like I said, they could have changed jobs, changed positions, changed this, changed that. They could have went through some changes. What I recognize now is how much they wasn't fully committed. And this is going off my experience. They wasn't fully committed to the wound itself. This is what makes people, that you hear people talk about the inner work, doing the shadow work. This is what makes people different and unique, is when you fully accept the mission and the path. And listen, everyone going through something, yes. I know people, don't ever assume that other people, I wasn't met with similar distractions. That shit ain't gonna go away. What I had to remind myself and somebody else is that the results are going to be the thing that's going to be telling. You just assume that just because someone right then and there doesn't have what you have, or just because that you feel that they should have this in that moment. Again, this goes back to don't bite the hand that feeds you. And that speaks in a more, not so much past tense, but also future. Meaning, like, you don't even realize the inner work that this person has done. It's because What the divine will allow you to see is the bigger picture. The bigger picture to a person at that time, while they're caught up in their emotions, while they don't realize their liability because they're not knowing how to navigate through stressful situations and so forth. See, when you're doing the inner work and facing what's really going on with you, this is where not only emotional maturity comes in, but this is also where spiritual maturity comes in. Because that's a real thing. Let me elaborate on that. Now, what I can say from lived experience, spiritual immaturity would be, let's say you come into your first or dark night of the soul or awakening, enlightenment, whatever, right? And you want to tell everybody. You want to control. You want to make sure like, hey, I got to save you from this and save you from that. And that could be a lot of a part of the experience. I know a lot of people are going to get clarity from that. But what happens is, look at that little frog. See, my world be so magical. But what happened is that you just are coming into this new level or self-awareness or awareness of things. Just like that. Simple things like that. Some people who are unaware of so many different things, they will literally just jump into something or keep walking and will not be aware of their surroundings, the magic that happens in and around them, and so forth. So with that, you know, someone else could have probably assumed that was a bug, but that was a little frog. And that's so funny because I can use that analogy to where someone can just assume just by that moment that is going to be your all be all. That's the biggest you're going to become. I had someone project that onto me. It had a lot of people mention you ain't shit. I had someone mention you're not growing, you're not gonna grow. You know, all these projections, they don't realize like these transits are telling, and they telling on people. These transits are revealing what's really going on with inside people. And the more I become more aware and realize that these transits are me and I am these transits, and then how I respond to them, it ain't about being perfect. It's about simply, again, fully accepting the path, fully accepting the fact that everything always come back full circle. I can go in the same places where at a moment in time, I will feel so bothered by being there, or I would be plagued with all these memories of people, but then I start to counter it and realize like, why is this coming up? I'm supposed to feel through this. I need to acknowledge this. Because see, where there is a physical reward, that first is a spiritual reward. Meaning like, don't bite the hand that feeds you simply because y'all just assume, or people who's been operating on superficiality and surface shit and getting distracted and don't realize the balance of a lot of things has a lot to do with the spirit, the doing the inner work, the soul integration, doing all these things that remind you of your purpose, you know, and so forth. I'm smiling because this is one of my favorite places to come in Columbus, Ohio, is the Rose Garden. If you ever have an opportunity, God, it's like a magical world. Look, I told myself, I was like, why not? Now, I ain't gonna be on here all day simply because I like to smell roses. But again, think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy. There's another one. That's something else. This is one I always love. The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. I'm telling you, man, Oh my God. I know that they said a rose holds a frequency. Some of these are like, oh my gosh. If I had to be any flower, I would definitely like to say a rose, because you have to be careful. You have to be cautious with me. You can't just grab me. You can't just do that. It's got to be gentle and so forth. You have to. And that's the patience in it. The thorns and everything. So unique. This is definitely one of my favorites. These colors are, oh my gosh. Looks like fire. And I love it because you can tell it rained recently. So a lot of these have like the raindrops. And I was always so, is the word enamored? No. I was always blown away or just in awe to see how the raindrops never stick to the pedal. But even through that, it trickled down to the bottom and so forth. Like it always makes its way to the roots. So, anywho, so yeah, again, don't bite the hand that feeds you is also, again, a spiritual significance. It's simply because that's how much doing the inner work is going to be so significant in these moments, because I have no worries, no concerns, simply because the more you do the inner work, the more in tune you become, the more discerning, the more intuitive, the more deeply connected you become with that of your soul's purpose, your purpose here, the clarity you get. And with that, you're not focused, oh, look at that rich red, look like blood. You're not focused on who likes you, who accepts you, and so forth. No, you're focused on the fact of enjoying this human experience. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Y'all on a journey with me, boy, through the rose garden, G. I get memories because I remember my son, we came out here with him. He was small. His mama was breastfeeding, took some breastfeeding photos. Over there, they had a symphony or something like that. Yup. But yeah. See, stuff like this, you can just sit and chill, relax, enjoy yourself, vibe, no distractions. Just the vibration, the energy of everything. And what I realized is, like, in doing the inner work, you will naturally see, like, unfold, like, see people who, or energies in people that eventually, as you do the inner work and so forth, it would be very apparent where they haven't shown up for themselves. And again, this is where that savior complex, where I realized, like, this is my perspective, where I feel like what the real narcissist is that where someone wants to be the savior and forget about themselves. So what ends up happening is that they feel that they can control the outcome of other people. They feel like they can control the narrative. And this happens so much so when you see the distortion in the mother. And that distortion leads to the distortion in the father, which is basically from the little girl and the little boy that grows into a mother and father. And what ends up happening is that in their inability to really learn about themselves deeper and find a balance, you see a lot of mothers try to save their kids from, the outcome of natural life, like how life naturally unfolds. It's not to disregard the fact of how nurturing they are, how supportive they are, but that's just, again, a part of it. Other than that, it's similar to an emotional manipulative mother who have dealt with abandonment wounds these things just show up differently to where they neglect the daughter or they neglect themselves and so forth, and they feel like they never had time. So now they're battling between trying to show up for the daughter or the kids and themselves. I've seen this through lived experience play out through so many people. See the different perceptions and perspectives and so forth. And what I now know with my own life is that people eventually want to see, like, how did you get to where you are, what steps and so forth. It's like being born in a new world. It's like they want to be able to realize, like, okay, what do I have to do, and this and this and this. It's no different than the whole, again, how even in the misconception or the confusion around what you have seen in the spiritual community, how they're in and under judgment because of the fact of people using their, like, you see someone get online talking about love and light so much, oversaturating things, making it seem one-sided, when there is the shadow, there is the darkness, there is the evils, in the sense of, like, there is a shadow to everybody. Everybody has ways that naturally, just like a child that doesn't get their way. And that's so interesting, because when a child is young, you're either going to guide them by being their future, by showing them to be manipulative towards themselves and other people, or to be that people pleaser to where you're just so used to associating with emotional pain to where you will teach them that. And so this becomes a manipulative tactic that they gain into their adulthood. So they feel that they don't need to address and talk about things, the uncomfortability around it. And so then when stressful situations happen, this is where they become conflict avoidant. This is where, again, where they will gain a mindset around being manipulative, lying to themselves, not really honoring who they are. And that's the thing, where they naturally know how to self-soothe. This is where we as adults and so forth have dissociated with. We don't self-soothe anymore in a holistic or healthy way. Now you see people, they escape. I see it play out so much to where you can see the energy of people who are conflict avoidant, even when there's an underlying tension between the fact of, you see this naturally when people just don't speak. And it's not that they have to. It's just at a point in time when you grow up, everyone, hey, how you doing? And things have changed, because my world has changed completely. I just naturally pick up on the things where I realize, like, I can tell when people are masking. So this is why I say the reward in doing the inner work is realizing, I saw a chipmunk. I didn't ever think that shit was real. I used to see the cartoon. I know this is not a distraction. I just saw one, like, they're prominent out here and they're so cute. But anywho, I realized that that's the reward. The journey's never in vain, because I'm just become very apparent to know when you do the inner work or the shadow work. I don't even like the word work. Oh my gosh. When you just go in and reevaluate, rehabilitate your inner world, meaning like the things that you cannot hide from, you cannot run from, it's going to be very apparent. Even when people avoid you, not talk to you, and that's not always the case, I'm just giving you examples. Even when some people just assume that, that they can just go on with life, but they're still looping through the fact of running from themselves. And as much as they don't want to admit, you're a mirror to it. And so this is where some people compare their experiences. This is where sometimes they're like, well, how is it that they're living? How is it that they're doing this? How is it they're doing that? And this is where I realize, like, the divine allows people, even when they are against themselves, even when they don't do the inner work, this is for somebody, that they will immediately, or if not eventually, become a catalyst for you. Catalyst in reminding you where you're going. If I have support from the divine, then my guidance ain't gonna come from the external world. I'll be reminded from the external world through things, through the experience that I'm just going through. That's not my dependency. Because in letting go of codependency, I'm recognizing like, wow, I'm seeing a person and people, the energy of they'll project on you that you may be stuck or you don't have life figured out. The funny shit about it, no one does. Because the way transits and the way transformation happens and the way all these different things happen, that's where the unexpectancy comes from. When certain signs shift astrologically, when certain things happen, that's the beauty that most people can't appreciate. It's just like realizing, this is my view by the way, it's just like realizing, like I'm on this chair, this is magical. It's just realizing like I can be present right here, still doing what I love, because that's how much I fully committed to what I love. I can create my content, I can do shit everywhere I go when I travel. When I fully committed to, when I say not just the womb, when I fully committed to my purpose and journey and saw the bigger picture, I told myself that I may not know how this is gonna happen or the outcome of this, but I realize it's like I'm already living the outcome because I get to decide it. And that's not with control, that's with surrenderance of realizing like, these flowers is like my life, this garden. This is a garden of roses. So every rose doesn't grow at the same pace. I'm looking at some that are still growing, starting. Some that are needing to be clipped in certain areas. Some that are, different colors, have different scents, and so forth. Some that have more thorns, and so forth. Some, all these unique things that, again, is a representation of myself. There's no one way that you can figure me out. That's how I look at the divine. These are, throughout every season, throughout life, these roses never grow the same. They don't always grow in the same angle. They don't always grow at the same pace. They don't even look the same. Because in certain seasons, they're going to wither away. Some may grow taller than others. In one season, one may grow at a certain length, and then again, it don't. But it still has and serves its purpose. So when I look at the bigger picture from a lot of things, I start to realize, like, this is the process. And what's so significant, I see like that when you hear the someone's weed eating in the background. But when you see all of this, it's the maintenance and showing that also you cannot do it by yourself. So even where someone along your journey, whoever's doing the maintenance, right, or who's coming in to be supportive, may feel like they cannot do it anymore, then guess what? The divine will hire or bring someone else in who's willing to do it, who may have a more of appreciation towards what you're offering, what you're presenting. Woo! I'm on one today, boy. And that's the thing that's always going to change. Some people want to come in and see and won't appreciate the thorns. Someone may come in and think like, oh, this is too much work, too much effort, I have to put in to be in your life. I have to, look after this. I have to, make sure this doesn't happen. Yes. Because I don't know all the details when it comes to all of this, but I'm pretty sure that it ain't just cutting grass and doing other things like that. It's also probably certain things that keep certain pesticides or certain things out, or certain things away from, I don't know if certain things eat insects, or certain things come and eat roses or whatever it is. It's obviously it's something that keeps a lot of things away from it. So that's definitely got to be a part of it. How you doing? So even with that, it's again, the awareness around even the water, there's so much that people don't see that goes into your life, goes into what unfolds. And that's why I say gradually, as I start to do the inner work and focus more on myself, I start to realize I don't know people. Me and somebody else had that discussion the other day. They was like, you don't know me. Yeah, I don't know, but what I do know enough of is your patterns. That's what cannot be ignored. That's how much I know I've stayed consistent through things to where people will just assume your garden looks like this. But when your fruit starts to produce, when your flowers start to bloom, when they start, and some people can get enamored again by the I'm gonna say the frequency aspect in the analogy aspect of a visual of like how it looks, what you're giving off, how you're presenting certain things, and something they probably never seen or witnessed before. Just like my arts, I can reference my arts and the books and everything that's coming as I do more of the inner work is a representation of my garden of life, of my garden, what I'm planting, what I'm weeding out. When I realize like certain people don't serve this and so forth, and they're not seeing the importance of loving themselves, of creating a healthy balance and focus on their well-being, then naturally, guess what end up happening? They're not going to be a part of, when you're wondering why this person isn't here or why such and such didn't work out. Sometimes you don't have to tell the world. It doesn't matter. It's more so what you prioritize, what you care about, because what's vital is that you need not to forget about your garden and what seeds that you're planting and the awareness around that. Those again who have met themselves deeper will appreciate and come in and water you, may be of like service because they know what it is to have maintenance, be a stewardess to their world, or be attentive. That's one thing I've become so sensitive of, is like so much of when I say pouring into myself, like my well-being emotionally, what is emotionally safe and so forth, what it has mirrored back and what I've seen play out through other people is how much they try to hide it, how much they try to hide through their situations or lived experience that they are safe, and they actually believe that the external keeps them safe. Let me tell you something. That's one of the biggest illusions, even when it comes to your home and so forth. There's things that always can happen. That's things that can always happen to show you like that the unexpected of something happened to where you will have to learn how to shift or be prepared. And it's all how you respond through it. And see, that's the thing I've learned with being more aware and in tune. And it's just like this garden. At any moment, if it was meant for a tornado to come through here, it may not destroy the whole garden. It may destroy certain parts. But then again, there will be people or energies that support people who will come in and be empathetic or have an emotional empathy to where they will have an appreciation to support in rebuilding. You know what I'm saying? See, I'm giving y'all this analogy to where when disruption comes, especially how the world has perceived people supposed to have this and have that and so forth, so people look from the outside. They actually view life from the outside in rather than the inside out. So they'll look at your situation and just assume that's all there is. And just because he don't have this right now, that his life is destructive, or he's unbalanced, or he's he's unstable. What has he did? And again, a lot of this is coming from people's perception or a lived experience of their life. And also the identity that they've created around that. So just assume that this is the all be all. Like I said, something can come in here, a win easily. Every rose isn't as strong or strengthened as this rose over here, to where they're not as big and thick. So the wind can blow and knock their leaves off, their petals, and so forth. That doesn't still mean that it's not rooted, it's not grounded. So that's why I tell you about the spiritual significance of people just assuming that they know your whole life. No, you don't. So again, from all of it, again, it's the groundedness in how, as long as you're still watering yourself, focus on your well-being, your inner world. This is what, again, the dissociation that has in your patriarchal, that's clearly showing you that the men, again, aren't well. They aren't healthy for themselves. So they're not going to be healthy for other women and other people involved. I went through lived experiences for this. This is exactly why I had to see through my mother wounds. I had to see through going through, again, doing the inner work, the emotional well-being, to what it is to be emotionally safe, secure. And now my relationships with myself and other people is centered around that. Because why wouldn't I want people to feel safe with me? Or secure, at least, at most. And that starts with me. And anything that's not of that, again, I will be discerning. Can clearly see, again, through their aggression immediately, or through what they're hiding. And this is through experiences where I've learned through growing up in abuse, seeing people be abused and so forth, and even see the passive aggressive people as well, who hide this, not so much, because aggression is not bad, assertiveness is not bad or good, it's more so in the healthy way. And that's why I tell you about the transit in Chiron and Aries, where, again, all these things that are centered around combativeness, this versus this, all these things are revealing what really is unstable and not really at peace and secure within us. Just because a rose has a thorn doesn't mean it's dangerous. Are these squirrels behind me? It just shows that certain things you cannot handle with aggression. Can you appreciate the flower, the delicacy of it, where you have to clip it and do certain things to actually, there's certain things in life that you have to, assert in a healthy way, then assert with awareness. And roses are the perfect example of that. Some of them you can't just snatch up like you can do other flowers and stuff. No, it's the awareness around, I have to be very attentive and aware. And that's so funny because roses has always been one of my favorite things. People say, what would be your spirit animal? I would say, what would be my flower? If I had to be a representation of something, would definitely be like a flower, a rose. And there would be no limitation on it. So again, going back to don't bite the hand that feeds you, is more so like the message that I'm sent to deliver and offer is to water and bring people back home to themselves. The home within them is a garden. The home within you is significant. Have you watered it? And this is why I get so prepared and excited for the world, the life that I'm building. I know the world I'm building. I cannot be focused on the world outside of me, or wherever I go is a reminder of what I'm building. That's why, again, you have to find a balance between your creativity, your outlets, what it is you love to do. And see, the confusion is a lot of people have been away from that so much to where they don't know. So they really are unhappy and miserable with the world that they're really living and so forth. And you see that through their job. You see that through what they call a career. I see a career in something more so like longevity, something that's going to sustain you. But even in that, you still need something that is expanding you, that's going to allow your inner child to feel alive again, and that cannot be dependent on other people. It has to be something that starts with you first. That's why I said, like, when I reference my arts and stuff like that and everything else, I know what the garden that I've been creating and how much it's opened up more and more for me. Through that, it has shifted and changed my whole identity around what it is that at a point in time where I thought was attractive and It's no longer attractive to the eye. Now it's more of a mental thing. Now it's more of an emotional thing. You know, that which I thought someone was attractive in a certain way just because it's physical, no, it's more to it now. Are they emotionally secure and safe for themselves? Do they know how to handle things through stressful situations? Do they allow their emotions and so forth in those moments? Because we actually think that's normal for people to be irate or just this and that. No, that comes from me realizing through lived experiences that I thought that was normal for people to react or just act out that way because they didn't know how to manage their emotions in stressful situations. So what ends up happening is that, again, this is not something that's supposed to just be acceptable and normalized. This is also supposed to be something where we realize that this is where we can reinvent and recreate our own world and see how could I build towards that, a safe world, a secure world for myself and those connected to me. Because these energies are going to keep more and more revealing within people, you know, the shadows of what they can't hide, their insecurities. They can tell you one thing, but again, it's the pattern. And that goes for everyone. The ones who are just passive aggressive, again, that shows you that there are aggression in there. It's just eventually. Time is ticking. I had people come to me and it's just like, I'm not even really surprised when they was coming to tell me about where they at and so forth, and how this person is probably going to something work related. And it's just like, you do know that, like, this is pretty much like sometimes the universe is giving you foresight of what's probably could happen to you. Because here you are talking about rest and all this other stuff. And again, I tell you, people, when you're fully committed to a purpose or journey or to the wound itself, whether it's a mother wound or father wound or something internally that you need to shift, your focus has to simply be that. And everything else, you have to realize, fuck it, because it's either a distraction or it's keeping you from really seeing the details and why your patterns, your learned behavior patterns, why financially things are like that, why emotionally, mentally, and so forth you respond and react. Yes. Or otherwise, you're just going to build a world, again, where resentment's going to grow, self-hatred, because you're not going to find the balance between that joy within yourself and, again, trying to people please. We're coming out of a world that no longer exists, that was centered around preying on the childhood wounds, keeping people in the people-pleasing world and so forth. Again, as much as people don't want to accept or like it, I always say, and I'm just telling you from just seeing the women and people out here, like the more and more they keep telling me about their experience, I'm like, yo, don't ever compare me. Because I'm in alignment with what I'm doing, and I'm reaping the rewards from it. So to come over here and compare and say, well, this is not this, this is not that. No, the surrenderance is also allowing the divine to let that person see what they need to see. And they still have the opportunity to either see the loop, or they will go to another position, or they will position themselves somewhere else and go through the same fucking loop. That's why people they're never happy or satisfied at this one position. I gotta make more money and forget about their well-being. But then again, we'll call people that are in tune, spiritual and so forth, that see this shit spiritual first before they see it physical, they'll call them crazy. They'll call them delusion. They'll call them irate and so forth. And don't realize, like, we're needed just as much as you're needed, like as a reminder of what you don't even recognize, that we see beyond the veil. We see beyond what the fuck that you're doing, because you're stuck in just the physical aspect. You're stuck on the surface. And so you will say we're stuck because our life doesn't look like yours, but at the same time, you wish and want your life to be able to create um, freely and abundantly, and and so forth. Bro, I create this shit because I know and I've seen more and more like what's gonna come from that, because that's how much I've been fully committed to something. Bitch, I got a scholarship from the divine. It made me think how people is fully committed and they get a scholarship. But I have a scholarship for the divine. My tuition is paid in full. Everything I'm doing moving forward, everything is going to be paid in full. I didn't come here to suffer. That's just my thing. I didn't come here to work for nobody, do all that other shit. No. I realized if I'm going to put in this effort, I have to create things just like that thing in the middle. What do you call that? That waterfall thing. Fountain. That shit, my emotional well-being is like that. There are times where you have to go in, clean out the stuff that gets in there. There's certain things you have to go in there and remove. There's certain things you have to go in there and or the water won't look as clear. And that's the beauty of going to calmer waters and all that stuff. I had to deal with the turbulence or the choppy waters or the waters within me. Remove certain things so certain things within me can move more smoother. So I don't be moving off impulse. And then see other people who are panicking and moving off impulse because they don't have balance. They're not structured. They're not as secure as they say they are, even in their career, even in all the money that they have and so forth. And you see it play out. I know how much my emotional well-being, my mental well-being, my spiritual well-being, physical well-being is like that of that water. My financial well-being, all of that. Because that full commitment will have you realizing, like, even when you obtain certain things, I have to keep this in the account. I'm telling you right now, like, from this experience, I have my artwork on a website, and it charges like every month, every time I post it, manually, like it charges manually my account 20 cents for like to be visible. So in certain moments, like, it may sound wild, you will have to go without, but it's not that you're without anything, you have it. Because that's a part of manifestation, is me putting it, creating it, going through those things, planting the seeds, getting the canvases, planting the seeds, doing all those things. And the manifestation is not just from the 3D, it's from the 4D or whatever you want to use it at. Once you put it on the internet, again, it manifests everywhere else digitally. When I post it, when I share it, that's a manifestation for people to see. That's the garden. That's the seed planting. And it's the patience where, again, it's going to take the right someone that's in alignment of appreciation with your arts, with your gift, of which is a representation of that flower, to feel that they'll see the significance in they have to have it. That's why a lot of people can come in here, they can look at the roses and so forth and all that, but then you got some people who will just feel like, I gotta have that one. It sticks out. That's how you have to realize, like, the patience. And even again, me planting my seeds, whether it's the books and so forth, you can't be concerned about if someone's just gonna, like, that flower, these flowers aren't looking for appreciation. They're not looking for acceptance, approval. If it has 30 petals, or if the petals or this and that, or, it's so many different things to where everyone's perception on life is completely different. That's why you can bring something to someone and it never be enough, because it's not so much that they don't feel enough, it's so much of their world is just different. This is where it comes to a lot of us at a place where, whether you're dealing with how we viewed romance or how we viewed physical attraction or emotional, when you start to get on a journey where you start to heal and really be fully committed to stuff, it will reveal to you people's priorities and what they value. It's natural for you to just realize, like, hey, we don't value the same thing. It doesn't mean that it has to end in tragedy. See, that was the old world narrative, because how, some of us, or I saw people, how they would assert their ways when I realized now was codependency and abandonment wounds, or financial codependency, to where when you don't know how to plant your own seeds, which is self-sufficiency, normally what kids naturally do, and that's not even just from a financial aspect. It's in their world when they grow up in their imagination, they naturally plant seeds, meaning like they'll plant the seed with this friend or this person. They go to school or they travel through life and experience life, and they're planting seeds through their energetic exchange. So that's why I'm saying the beauty of, again, don't bite the hand that feeds you, because you're looking at their life, which is their garden, and just assuming that it's just a garden that is overrun with weeds and, yeah, but you don't realize that you don't know that person lived experience to where they have had parents or people who abandoned them and so forth. And so this is what caused them to have neglected themselves. And then through that, now they have created an experience through overextending and so forth. So you just looking on the outside looking in and just assuming that they will never come into that self-awareness or that conscious awareness of actually realizing, I got to get down now, dig this shit up, remove these roots, plant these seeds that are going to be sustainable for me and my generations to come. That's why I sit back and laugh and tell people, don't bite the fucking hand that feeds you. Because you think it's just physical. You just thinking just in that moment no one can offer you anything. But anyone that knows when it comes to wisdom, for you to obtain it, you have to go through first thinking you know something, but you have to apply it after. That's why the thing about you never know someone's life. You just came in on a certain chapter. And that's why I realize in life, as I'm navigating through things, this is how I obtain the wisdom, the clarity of, I didn't know that then. Now I can better myself now. And even through that, being fully committed is also being fully committed to the vision where people will just see, this part of the garden, but don't realize all the other shit that you've planted because they come in this specific season. This is why you have so many people in competition where they don't know how to appreciate the simplest things when you meet each other. But this is also how you pay attention to what seeds people are growing in their garden. It'll show you what type of people who they have around enabling them, or supporting them. Who is they supporting cast? Is it sitting around a healthy, holistic, or even structured way of life? And again, you can't even just assume or come to a conclusion just because of an age either way as well. When you look at humanity and the way of life, people are literally teaching other people how to live their life, meaning how they should grow and prosper their life, how they should grow their own garden. In all honesty, that is so much of bullshit. And what I mean by that, in so much of a controlling way, an emotional manipulative way, to manipulate, to have control. And when you see the powers that used to be and a lot of these things that have happened, it's exactly why you see the collapse in the patriarchal. And it's a warning before the matriarchal. Because again, they're going to look at the men, and then eventually they're going to wonder, well, who has supported this? Who has enabled this? That's just like a woman who ain't tired of going through certain things, but she still allows a man to do certain shit. Especially he's not aware or he's not wanting to shift and change. Now it's much different because even with him, if he's more aware, he'll realize that he'll come to the self-realization, this woman has been enabling, gaslighting, or even supporting the problem, but not trying to be part of the solution. So either way in the dynamic and so forth, whether you want to subscribe to gender or not, someone has become more self-aware that something isn't working out. This is ending in the same results. I have to I have to go a different direction. I have to water my garden because clearly if it's not structured and balanced and both parties don't know the importance of what it is to water their own garden, and that can be perceived in so many different ways because someone's way of what they think they're doing could be in a way of masking themselves. But you can see that in their life, even if they have a position or career or certain things, that they're still running from themselves because the pattern will show. Yeah, shit, no. Again, the pattern will always reveal itself. No matter how much they try to mask it, no matter how much they try to hide, the pattern will always reveal itself. Because you will start to see how gradually, as you start to be more attentive to your garden and your well-being, it will highlight what they're not doing. It's not in comparison. It just show you how much they're still looping. It'll also reveal to you how much also that, how you should continue moving forward, how you should continue pouring into yourself again. Your garden is a reflection of your entrepreneurship, which is spiritual. All this shit is spiritual first. Your ritual. All of this stuff is, again, how you're watering your garden. And it ain't supposed to make sense to nobody else. That shit he or she doing, that shit look weird, it's crazy, da 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 da. And they'll be the same people when other people start trying to ride your wave or support, will be right there. Some of them may come in with apologies. Some of them may come in and want to be of support and make adjustments and so forth. And that's your decision. That's your discernment. That's where you listen to your intuition. That's where you realize, is this healthy for me in whatever aspect, you know, the well-being. Is this going to contribute and be supportive? And again, the vibes won't lie. So a lot of it has a lot to do with, again, you know what it has been in the efforts to pour into yourself and also watering your garden and the efforts that you have to do, had to put in, whether 5, 10, 15 years. You know, all these things are very significant. You know who had to be let go because, again, value system. Things had to change. Things shift and so forth. And with that, again, that's going to always be, in a way, a reoccurring thing. Where you have to adjust, even through the fact that when people don't want to support, when people don't want to contribute and so forth, that's when you realize you have to find the balance more and be more encouraged. Be more in tune, become more aware. Again, because either way, the results are still going to show. The results are still going to show, baby. I'm telling you. And that's why I love this shit. Because once you realize, like, it starts with you first, that be the beauty from all of it, where I realize, oh, just because I didn't get this support, or just because this person, no, the divine will hide you in plain sight. It'll reveal to you who is where, who is, this person is here right now. They're not ready. Keep going. Pace yourself. They're not ready. And it's okay. You don't got to hold a grudge. You don't got to be angry with them. They're not ready. So I'm going to give y'all a little bit, because I'm finna walk around and enjoy myself. So, yeah. So again, that's one of the things about being on a journey and experience. Don't bite the hand that's going to feed you. Because again, as the world collapses, the old world narrative, you could be right there playing with the person or have fucked over something. Don't realize that that's going to be the hand that feeds you and the future generations. With not just things spiritually, but also materialistically as well, because it's all is connected. So yeah, peace.